Are you wondering what to cook for the weekend? And are you a bit like me and you don't either have the time or the inclination to spend hours in the kitchen? Okay, so I've got the recipe for you. This is super easy, chuck it all in one pot, lamb curry, and I promise you it is absolutely delicious and ridiculously easy. Okay, so here's what you need. I'm using today for this, but you can halve or add more to these ingredients, right? So you need 1 kilo of diced lamb. You need double the amount of lamb to onions. So I've got 2 kilos of onions and I've chosen to use big white ones because I don't have to peel so many onions. I am really trying to cut back on preparation and time and just, chopping stuff up in the kitchen because I don't enjoy it. I'm using a whole head of garlic. So I have peeled all the cloves out of a whole head of garlic and chopped them. So here are the ingredients again. This is 1 kilo of diced lamb with 2 kilos of onions, a whole bulb of garlic, and the rest of the ingredients here. So here we go. Here's the lamb. This is my big oven-proof dish that I'm cooking it in, but you could also use a countertop slow cooker. You could use anything else to sort of slow cook it. Right, so that's the lamb. You don't need to brown it. There's no browning, there's no pre-cooking. So I've put the lamb in the pot. Now I'm gonna add all of the garlic. That is a whole clove of garlic chopped up. Not super small, it's just chopped because it doesn't matter. So, scrape that in there. Most of it went in there. Okay, next, I'm gonna chop up all of these onions. Okay, so I've started slicing some of these and I just wanna show you again how you don't have to be careful about this. I decided to slice rather than chop, just because it's quite nice when they're in there and they're sliced. So, the thing about this is it's really quick to prepare, but it takes a while to cook. You're looking at 2 hours minimum to cook this for. I basically will probably cook this at a really, really low heat, about 140 degrees in the oven for 3 or 4 hours. Okay, so everything is going to go really soft and cook right down, so you do not have to be careful about your. This is the rest of the ingredients that are going to go into this curry. So we have got a whole pat of butter. I'm going to put all of that in. I'm going to use some of those finger chilies. I haven't decided how many yet, but that depends on how hot you like it. If you don't like hot food, don't put any chilies in. It's fine, it's still going to taste delicious. It also needs yogurt, cardamom pods, which you literally just pop under the knife and press, but you put them in whole. 1/2 litre of cold water. That's if you're using a whole kilogram of diced lamb and 2 kilograms of onions. I'm going to put some crushed chilies in as well because we like our food quite spicy. Whole cumin seeds, a couple of whole cloves. You just want to make sure you take them out when you finish cooking because they don't taste nice when you eat them. Whole coriander seeds, turmeric, which I just use these glass jars and I refill, so I get really good quality ground turmeric, and then I refill it. And I've just dropped it because these videos are real. And some more of my favorite salt. I'm going to use 1.5 tablespoons. Oh yes, people, 1.5 tablespoons of salt. But this is salt that contains all of the other minerals, which actually makes salt so good for you. Okay, so that is the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I've put most of the onions in here, but actually remember the onions are going to really fill it up. Now I'm going to start putting the spices in before it gets really packed full, because that will leave the room in there to mix it all up and get those spices mixed up with everything. So here we go. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these green hot finger chilies in. All I've done to them is top the top off. Simply put them in. Next, I have got plenty of cardamom pods. Okay, I haven't even counted them. All I'm going to do is push them down with the flat part of the knife, just to kind of bruise them, crack them open a little. You don't need to worry about getting the seeds out, just put them in whole. Again, after it's cooked, you kind of just need to look out for them as you eat them. It's really doable. I mean, so don't eat them as you eat it. Put them to one side. But they won't hurt you if you eat them. Okay, so that's cardamom in. That's how simple that is. Next, turmeric. 2 teaspoons. I can't get the teaspoon in the jar. Oh, I love it. Okay, we'll try this teaspoon. Okay, so 2, and I'm going to go 2 big heaped teaspoons. This is going to make it dye everything in sight, so don't get this anywhere. Okay, so that's 2 teaspoons of turmeric, which is so good for you. It's a really potent anti-inflammatory. Most of us are chronically inflamed, and inflammation is the main underlying cause of most of the horrible diseases we have these days that we don't want. So turmeric is amazing to add to food. So that's turmeric done. Whole coriander seed, left whole again, and I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 of those in there. Whole cumin seeds. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put 1, 2 heaped teaspoons of those in there. Trust me, this is going to be amazing. So that's the turmeric, the coriander and the cumin done. Next, cloves, just whole cloves, and I'm just going to put 3 in there, again whole, just put them in. So you just look out for these when you've finished cooking it, and you find quite often they'll float to the top when it's finished cooking, so you can just skim them off, or just watch out for them as you eat it. We like hot, so I'm going to put some crushed chilies in here, and again I'm going pretty heavy, so 1, 2, 3. But that's personal choice. If you don't like it hot, don't put them in at all. Okay, so that's all the spices in. Next, we're going to put some salt in. Okay, so I'm going to be putting in about 1.5 tablespoons of salt. So here we go, that is 1. In fact, that's sort of more than 1.5, but there we go, that's in. Okay, now I'm just going to grab a couple of utensils of any description and start mixing it up together. Okay, so all those lovely spices start to mix in with that lamb that's in there, and it also starts to break up the lamb a bit. Okay, there's no heat involved right now, you are just doing this cold, just mixing it up together, and I can tell you it smells delicious already. Okay, so next I'm going to add the rest of the onions. I'm going to attempt to do this without throwing them all over the floor. Here you go. Oh yes! All over the floor they go. Right, so as you can see, this is real life cooking, not one I prepared earlier. They're not going to all fit in, but they are going to all fit in when it's cooked down a bit. So what I do before I put it in the oven is I heat it up on the hob. So what I'm going to do next is leave the rest of those onions there, and I'm going to add the 1/2 litre of cold water. No stock needed, just cold water. I'm going to add that gently to it, and I'm going to turn the hob on and gently bring it up to a fast simmer. And as you can see, it's kind of sunk down a bit already. I've got the rest of the onions in there. Now I'm going to put the butter in. Okay, this is the butter. And please note there is no oil used in this recipe. Oils are really bad to be using in cooking. If you're going to cook anything at heat, you want to be using solid fats, despite what we've been told for the last 50 years. Not true, causing us damage. Okay, so that's the butter in. Literally just pressed it in there. And the last thing that needs to go in is the yogurt. Okay, I use this brand of yogurt because it's my favourite, but you know, it doesn't really matter. Natural yogurt. I'm going to eyeball this. Should be about 500 grams. So there's 950 grams in this pot. There's a little bit out already, so I'm just going to do one. I'm going to do 3 big heat. This is actually a dessert spoon. But you know, just some big heaped dessert spoons. And the joy of this sort of cooking is that quantities don't really matter that much. You can hear that, it's really cooking nicely now. So I'm going to give that another mix through, then I'm going to put it in the oven. The oven's on, it's set at 140 degrees, that's a fan oven. Put the lid on. So you need a nice tightly fitting lid, and I'm going to leave that in there for 2 hours to cook at 140 degrees, and then I'm going to come and check it and give it a stir round and decide whether it needs to be cooked for a little bit longer or not. Okay, so this is the lamb curry after 2 hours of cooking. Okay, you can see how the lamb's looking really lovely and tender. The onions have cooked right down. You've got loads of delicious looking juice. This doesn't need thickening, by the way. I often get asked the question, you know, how can I thicken this? Doesn't need thickening, okay? The sauce is absolutely delicious. And if you choose to have that with some rice, the rice will mop up that sauce and it'll make the rice taste absolutely delicious. Or if you're not going to have rice, if you are following a sort of a more low carbohydrate protocol and you're just going to have that with a couple of vegetables, I would recommend broccoli, because the tops of the broccoli are also brilliant for mopping up sort of juices from foods that you're eating. And also thinly sliced spring greens or Savoy cabbage or any other type of vegetable like that is also great for kind of getting coated in all those delicious juices. So sauces don't need to be thickened. It's often a mindset thing, and you know, just like sort of starting to try something new, even though it might feel really uncomfortable in the beginning, you'll soon get used to it. So I'm going to put that in the oven now for another couple of hours. I'm going to drop the temperature of the oven down to 130 degrees, and I will show you it again when it's finished. And this is it, the finished lamb curry. So that took 3.5 hours in the oven, and it looks really delicious. Just give it a little stir. So you see it's all thickened up now. There's still loads of juice in there. Looks delicious. You know, if you wanted it a little bit more creamy, you could just stir a little bit more natural yogurt through, which should be full fat, by the way. And the other thing is, I made this the other day and I actually didn't have any yogurt, so I put double cream in it, and that worked really, really well too. So enjoy. So that is your delicious, really delicious. You will not regret trying this. Super easy, super quick. Would have taken me miles less time if I wasn't faffing around trying to film myself making it. Dinner. You could, if you've got friends coming round for dinner, this is amazing. Serve it with a couple of different types of green veg and some rice. Whatever you want to serve it with. It goes with everything. It freezes, so what I will do, I've cooked a lot here. I reckon this would feed 6 people easily. So we'll have what we need out of this, and then I will freeze it, because I'm a big fan of batch cooking, because again, that saves time, and it means that you don't have to worry about cooking something new and coming up with ideas about what we're going to cook every time. So I want to leave you by saying, I'm all about trying to encourage people to eat more real food and eat less of the pre-made, pre-prepared ready meals, ready sauces, you know, all those sorts of things which we are now categorising as ultra processed foods because they're harming our health. And the quickest way to improve your health, to lose weight if that's what you need to do or want to do, to see so many of your horrible health symptoms that you hadn't even associated with being connected or as, you know, being a result of what you eat disappear, you need to start cooking more of your own food. And I want to show you how quick and easy it can be. You don't need to be a cook. You don't even need to like cooking. You don't need to have loads of fancy schmancy ingredients or kitchen tools. This was just a knife. I have no knife skills. I narrowly seem to avoid chopping a finger off every time I try to chop something up. But I still managed to make delicious food. And the other thing is, always buy the best ingredients you can afford, but don't feel like you can't cook this sort of food if you can't afford organic vegetables and organic meat. If you have to go to the supermarket and get whatever you can afford, that is still better than buying ready-made food. So I hope you give this a go. Let me know if you try it. If you want to learn more about how to improve your health through food and how to release some excess body fat if that is a struggle for you, but also how to release the kind of the guilt, the secrecy, the feelings of failure around food and yourself and everything else, then have a look at my release workshops. And I'll see you soon. Bye.